Are you listening or not? You might hear secrets, sharing of memories, sharing of guidance, all part of the impacts of this cycle of the human design weather for February 1st to 7th, 2025. Will you be selective in what you listen to? Hey there. Hello, hello. I'm Margot Fraser, your guide through the cosmic weather. As a certified human design professional and intuitive coach, I'm on a mission to help you know, live, and love the magic of your true nature. In this podcast, Human Design Weather or Not, we'll explore the conditioning influences of the planetary motions, the transit field. You can't avoid the conditioning pressures. You'll likely notice their effects playing out around you. But rather than you reacting and being pulled off track, this awareness will empower you to navigate the cycle, staying true to your authentic nature and taking advantage of the opportunities when correct for you. Before we get started, I want to wish you a happy Imbolc, Celtic Festival Day, marking the approximate midway point between the solstice and the equinox, where the number of seconds of light added per day in the northern hemisphere starts to increase exponentially, or in the southern hemisphere, it's decreasing exponentially, peaking at the equinox in March. With this cycle, we are entering the human design quarter of initiation, which is bringing a background energy of coming up with new concepts, new ways of thinking about something. And we start with looking back at the past. What lessons, what wisdom can we gain to help us move in to the next cycle? So this will be the background energy for the next 3 months. This cycle begins February 1st at 1:47 p.m. and goes until February 7th at 2:56 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. Universal Time Coordinates, UTC, that's February 1st at 8:47 p.m. until February 7th at 9:56 a.m. Remember to convert that to your own time zone so you know when it starts and ends for you. We always start with the Sun Earth positions and activations as that 70% of the conditioning field. We have the sun moving into gate 13, activating the trait of the listener in the G center. The G center is about love, identity, and direction in life. This trait is part of the collective abstract circuitry that shares the lessons and wisdom of experience so that we don't have to start from scratch each time. The direction here is the direction from the past. What have we learned? Gate 13 is rooted in empathetic listening to take in the wisdom and perhaps secrets from others. It collects reflections of the past and it's part of the cellular memory circuitry. So we're taking in the information, the stories from the collective in whatever form that takes. It could be verbally, it could be through books, through other media. And its keynote says universal ideas and values in an ordered framework which inspires humanistic cooperation. We can be inspired in the present by history, and it gives us a sense of where we've come from. So we're exchanging what we remember, and we have certain times of the year that do give us a framework for that reflection. New Year's Day, Remembrance Day, Veterans Day, Labor Days, Independence Days. There's always something to reflect on that goes with those days, something in history. The potential opportunities are to listen to the wisdom and perhaps even the secrets of others that can benefit you in the future and sharing from your experiences. The polarities can be there as well, so not wanting to listen could also play out. The cautions here are you need to take time to process what you take in so that it comes out articulately and cohesively. If you just turn around and blurt out what you've just taken in, it may not be cohesive. It may just come out in a way that's really confusing to others. We have such fast ways to circulate information and misinformation these days that you may put something out there if you move too fast, only to find out that it wasn't the whole picture. Or you may miss out on deeper wisdom that was available if you had taken the time to reflect on what you'd taken in. Remember, this is experiential. This is not about facts that have been experimented with and tested. You might find that you're more prone to people fatigue in this cycle and need to take a break from listening and taking in from others. Who and what are your information and wisdom sources? This is also something to attune to this cycle. Is there value in what you're taking in? Or are you getting caught up in things that are taking you off track from what you as an individual want to create in your life? Gate 13 is being grounded in the Earth's position. Gate 7, the trait of the role of the self, which is also in the G center. Gate 7 is part of the collective logic circuitry that's about sharing the patterns to carry us into the future. There are different roles that we have in how we express out to the collective and how we guide. It could be by being an authority. After you've done your investigation and become an expert in something, become that authority. It may be as the Democrat. It may be as the anarchist that tears down what isn't working. It could be as the abdicator, where support is clearly moving to another. It's like, okay, go ahead, I'll step down. It could be as the general who leads in a crisis and only in a crisis, or as the administrator who can really recognize the roles that others should have. The keynote for this trait is the point of convergence. By design, the need for leadership to guide and order society. So, in any area of life, there are those that lead and guide, and those who are led and guided and follow the pattern. This is a dynamic. And it's a dynamic that, someone can lead in one area of life, but follow in another. So there can be shifting there. Since there's no ultimate perfection, no perfect way, there comes a point at which a pattern that did work will start to fail, or simply another way, another method, another pattern, another formula comes along that's better. It's likely going to need different leaders and a different ordering of things. So, for example, moving from there may be a time when, ooh, a centralized structure for an organization. That's what's working now. And it's like, no, no, a distributed type of organizational structure. And then it might be, oh, we need some kind of hybrid. All right. Well, potential opportunities this brings are to attune to the future and what the next steps are for you and what you want to create in your life. What old ways need to be let go of to create that future? Who are those that support you and that you can guide? Whose guidance could you benefit from? And are there any current leaders or guides that you're following that you're recognizing are not actually aligned for you? Great contemplations for this cycle. The caution here is that it's so important to use your strategy and authority. If someone's telling you this is the way forward, they can make it really sound good. And there could be a tendency that, the mind grabbing onto it. Ooh, yeah, that sounds good. I like those concepts. And jumping in from that instead of following your strategy and authority, which is what's really going to tell you whether it's aligned. Similarly, it could be someone or an organization saying, there's certain ways we have here or certain structures that need to go. Maybe, but is it correct for you to let go of that? When we look at the sun earth positions together, you might find from all that you've taken in, that there's a pattern emerging that you can use to guide others. Or you may jump into leading or guiding from information that's not fully processed, taking you and the others off track. We have no long-term channels this cycle that are impacting us. We do have 3 channels being created by the transit of the moon, which means they're just tasters, just little samples, as the moon only stays in a gate for about 10 to 11 hours, give or take. So I'll quickly review these. February 2nd at 7:31 p.m. until February 3rd at 4:58 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC, that's February 3rd at 2:31 a.m. until 11:58 a.m. We have the channel of initiation, a design of needing to be first, with the moon moving into gate 51, the trait of shock, connecting with its electromagnetic, which is Venus position in gate 25, the gate of the spirit of the self, of universal love and innocence. This is as part of the individual circuitry that has themes of mutation, bringing something new through, knowing, empowerment. It's connecting the ego center. We also call that the willpower center or the heart center. It's the little triangle to the center right of the chart with the G center, the diamond in the center of the chart. This channel brings the pressure to stretch yourself, to get out of your comfort zone and test the unknown waters. The opportunity is to foster untapped potentials of yourself, to go through things that could be even shocking, adapt and come out the other side. And then it leaves you feeling more empowered, more centered within yourself. The caution here is, instead of being competitive with yourself, that there's just this general egoic competitiveness, taking risks, trying to prove that you're brave, which just may end up being foolish if it's not guided by strategy and authority, ending up badly or in humiliation. February 3rd at 4:58 a.m. going until 2:26 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. UTC, that's February 3rd at 11:58 a.m. until 9:26 p.m. We have the moon moving into gate 42, the trait of completion and increase, connecting with Mars position in gate 53, the trait of beginnings. This creates the channel of maturation, a design of balanced development, connecting the motor and pressure center of the root with its adrenalized drive, the bottom square in the chart, to the sacral center, the square, second square up, the motor that generates life force energy. This is part of the collective abstract circuitry, once again, that shares the lessons and wisdom of experience so that we don't have to start from scratch. If you have this channel in your own chart, it impacts everything else in your chart, and you'll naturally go through cycles of things, beginnings, middles, ends. It brings a pressure to move through an experiential cycle, to start something new, to move through to the next step on your journey, or to bring something to completion. The caution is not to allow your mind to control the process instead of your strategy and authority. If so, you can end up moving into something or completing something that's not correct for you or not at the right time. Also, there can be no expectations of what the experience can bring. Finally, February 6th at 7:25 p.m. until February 7th at 5:41 a.m., which takes us into the next cycle. That's Mountain Standard Time. UTC, that's February 7th at 2:25 a.m. until 12:14 p.m. We have the channel of transitoriness, a design of the Jack of all trades. This is a channel we had through most of December and January, and it'll be coming back as a long-term transit again towards the end of next cycle. It's the pressure to enter into a new feeling experience, to go from being a novice to being experienced. It brings the pressure for change, or there can be boredom. Same caution as the previous one. Just because the pressure's there doesn't mean it's correct for you to jump into it. And no expectations. Now that brings us to our long-term transits where we had significant changes last time, but quite stable for this cycle. So it is going to be a repeat. The long-term transits by the outer planets and nodes are with us for longer periods of time, years in some cases. So the not self mind may really start to think that they're part of you, even when it's something that's not in your own design. The nodes of the moon are in gates 36, the trait of crisis, and gate 6, the trait of conflict and friction. And they're in line 6. Both of these are in the emotional center, the solar plexus center. Gate 6, conflict and friction in line 6 is called the peacekeeper. With this, there could be win-win peacekeeping efforts to move through conflicts happening in our environment. We're more likely, though, to see the detriment where conflict requires one side to bend to the will of the other, where the terms for ending the conflict set by one side are unacceptable to the other. So, peacekeeping or not. The North Node is in gate 36, the gate of crisis, and in line 6, same as Neptune's position. So we have the perspective as we look out into the world coming from the North Node of seeing the crises that are out there, the entering into of new experiences, making change that will allow for progress on one hand, or the cynicism, the disappointment, changes being made that don't lead to the expected progress. And we have Neptune bringing its frequency of illusion, veiling, unveiling, imagination, bringing pressure to enter into something new, to make change, but it might not be clear exactly what change to make, what experience to enter into. The illusion of expectations and an amplified sense of inadequacy that might have you back out of a correct experience or enter into an incorrect one is the caution here. The opportunity is that when you enter into an experience correctly, Neptune can help you go into the depths of it and unveil unexpected lessons and wisdom. Saturn's moved into gate 22, the gate of grace or disgrace, also in the emotional center, bringing its discipline, constraints, and consequences to this trait. It's in line 1, which is called second class ticket. About sitting back, let the other go first, being polite. You go ahead. It's okay. This pressure brings the potential opportunity to be able to listen to the passions of others and be open socially. It may bring a discipline quality to being polite. The caution is that there may be humiliating consequences and disgrace to not being polite. This individual trait can also bring emotional moodiness. You might be more sensitive to the quality of someone's voice and find that certain tones, certain pitches are a real turnoff or a turn on. Jupiter's moved into gate 16, the gate of skills and enthusiasm, part of the collective logic circuitry. Jupiter's bringing pressure to develop your skills, to expand them. Now, line 6 that it's in is called gullibility, and it brings a learning theme that says susceptibility to propaganda. The exaltation is the talent to assess the expression of others. The opportunity is being able to see what's really a pattern that can be relied on. However, the detriment is the inability to do this, to not recognize when something's just propaganda with no facts to back it up. So the caution is you may feel the pressure to express something as fact that is not. And If you don't do your own fact checking, you could really get taken in by someone who's skillfully presenting their way forward that you should support. Yes, okay. And I have to say that while I don't spend a lot of time on social media, boy, am I sure seeing a proliferation of AI generated videos, even for things like saving an animal or a whale, where if you look at it, you see things are off. Like the clothing changes, or there's different boats in the background, or the animals are not quite right, but they're being shared as factual, or people thinking that they're factual. So little extra caution and discernment here. Uranus continues to sit in gate 23, the trait of assimilation in the throat center. There's an opportunity with this to express your unique insights, if it's correct for you, in a way that could really be taken up by the collective. This is individual, wants to bring through a spark that catches in the collective to catch on fire there. Or there could be the pressure here to blurt out insights that can't be explained well and they just seem weird. There could also be a tendency to not bring your unique insight through to groups that you're part of out of fear of rejection, even when you've been invited to share and your strategy and authority are letting you know, yes, it's time. It's correct for you to share. Pluto's moved into gate 41, the trait of contraction and decrease in the abstract experiential circuitry. It's the gate of daydreaming, of fantasy, very innocent, fantasizing about the next experience that you want to have. The contraction is about narrowing down that fantasy to the one you really want to have next. But that's a process that takes time and the awareness of its electromagnetic gate 30 in the emotional center. The potential opportunity here, if it's correct for you, is to engage your imagination in what you'd like to create. At the same time, it will eventually need to be narrowed down. The caution here is that not every fantasy is meant to be brought into reality. So watch that you're not setting expectations. Line one is called reasonableness. What's really reasonable to bring into fruition? Pluto is saying that your inner truth will come through contraction and decrease through dreaming of a new experience. Now, your Pluto may not be in gate 41. Your inner truth will come through whatever that trait is that your Pluto is in. So just because, again, the pressure's there doesn't mean that it's correct for you to do anything out of that pressure. At the collective level, contraction and decrease may appear in humanity's experience, however, that may play out. Pluto does rule our larger cycles. So, when we put this all together, what you may experience or see in others is in an environment of conflict and crisis, an opportunity for growth and development, fostering of the talent to discern whose way forward is just propaganda and not worth your energy, the discipline to be graceful in interactions and have unusual insights to cut through the illusion of any personal crises and sense of inadequacies in experience and find which dreams are really reasonable for you to focus on. Or in an environment of conflict and crisis, you may feel or see in others bumping into stagnancy and stuckness, being gullible and taken in by propaganda that turns out to be fiction, being closed to others, and suffering the consequences of disgrace, taken off track by fear of rejection, and setting unrealistic expectations. And there can be some hot headedness there as well. So the keynotes can be put together, woven together in different ways, but it's giving you a little taste for the influences that may play out through the transit field. All right, that brings us to the end of the cosmic weather for this cycle. If you want to run your own chart, you can go to jovianarchive.com. And if you're new to human design and want to understand the basics of the body graph at a high level, what's the black and the red about, the geometric shapes, a little bit of background on the system, you can grab my free human design basics mini course. It's at margotgfraser.com/human hyphen design. You'll also find various opportunities for readings there if you're looking to delve into your design in a deeper way. If you enjoyed this podcast, I would be so grateful if you could give this episode a like and consider subscribing to this podcast. Okay, so there's heightened pressure to listen empathetically or not, to guide or not, to share experience and guidance. You may really hear some intriguing things and potentially get a sense of patterns emerging from what you've taken in. Those Sun Earth positions are inherently social, but you also may experience some people fatigue. 4 long-term transits in the emotional center are a reminder not to make decisions in the highs and lows of emotionality. Well, have a great cycle and may you know, live, and love your magical nature. Until next time, bye for now.